Hey, everybody. We're here again today. This is a part of our Mother's Day series. And today I'm on with some of the women who I love the most in this world. I mean, these women mean everything to me. And we're here to discuss our mothers today. So I'd like you just to sit back, join the conversation, and you can send us some comments about your moms. We'll put it on the screen. Sit back, relax as we go into the Lioness Den. Hey, everybody, we're back. And today I am here with my sisters and my aunts. Some of my sisters and my aunts. That's what I'm going to say. Today I'm here with some of my sisters and my aunts. And so, without further ado, let me introduce them all to you all. Hi, everybody.
Hey, hello.
This is the most enthusiastic crew here, guys. I just want y'all to know that they are very enthusiastic today to talk to us about our matriarchs because we have three of them in our family that have gone on, and we're here to talk about them today. So, to on the side of me, well, how I see her is Ave. Ave is my baby sister. She's the youngest of the crew. And then I have my sister Esther, who is right next to me in age. And down below on my screen, I'm not sure how she presents on your screen, is my Aunt Miriam. Hi, everybody. I'm glad you guys came.
Hi.
We are going to talk about these three ladies. You know, it's three ladies that have gone on before us. And let's see. These three ladies, who we going to talk about today. My mom, who's there at the top, Julia, and my grandmother, well, both of my grandmothers who are down beneath, Mother Martha Bonds and Evangelist Laura Naomi Samuels. Um, Mother Martha Bonds, who was later named Sams by her great granddaughter Licia and Sis Samuel. Hey guys, I thought this would be a good time for us, being that it's Mother's Day, to discuss these great ladies and what they meant to us. Um, and so I guess I should start off the conversation with let's talk about my mom, Julia. So my mother was one of the most interesting ladies ever, and I'll tell one of my favorite stories about mommy. Um, Mommy decided that she was going to be a mechanic, but she was still going to be holy, and so she went to work in the shop, and she was working in the shop with a long skirt on and her pants under her skirt to make sure that she kept herself holy, and she did it every day. She was committed, and she was one of those women, in my opinion, who could do what they call a man's job and still excel. Because a lot of times you don't see a lot of women mechanics, but she was a woman mechanic who did everything. I mean, I seen her from working on engines, changing oil. She did it all, and she taught us. Some of us learned it, some of us didn't, but she showed us how to change oil and stuff too. So that's my mommy story. Anybody else want to jump in with a mommy story? I guess I'm the only one got a story right now because everybody else is sitting here looking like, no. Esther, you got a mommy story. I know you
So
do.
I guess I'll go next. Uh, I have a mommy story. I have a grandma Samuel story and Sam's story as well. So mommy used to um, correct us, and nowadays correction you can't get popped. With a belt. It's abuse now. But back when I was coming up, it wasn't abuse. So if you did something wrong, and it warranted a pop with a belt, my mother didn't use the traditional belt. She would find little straps on the street that was made of rubber, and then she would sing this song. Do y'all remember the song?
Sing it for us, sister. Sing
Sing
it.
it.
Come on, sing song. Sing song.
Me and my buddy. Y'all don't remember that song? Me and my buddy rolling down the avenue. Me and my buddy gonna beat your honey very soon.
Very soon. Very soon. Yes.
We knew that we were in trouble if that was the case. So Esther was very smart. She could watch her sisters and know that she did not want to get in trouble. So she would shut it down because that was not the plan at all. Another thing I remember fondly about my mother is we used to have to walk to church all the time. Church was probably 5-10 minutes from the house. And as we walked to church, everybody we passed, we had to speak to. And I hated it. But you knew not to say you wasn't going to do it or not to do it. Because if you walk past a person and she would say good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time of day it was, she was going to speak. And if you didn't, she'd say, what's wrong with you? Is anything wrong with your mouth? Say hello. And embarrass you so bad that you just speak. So she wouldn't do that. And now I find myself in my profession that it is just normal for me to say good morning before anybody can even say good morning to me. I'm always saying good morning to them. But that really, really came from my mother because you had to speak. That just being polite was that you had to speak. The last thing that I'll share about my mother was she was a really, really good cook. And she could make a meal out of anything.
Yes.
So it was 3 of us until she added the other 3. And there were days that children say they don't have food now. But there were days that we might have had rice and beans and I don't know, some type of sauce. And she would whip it up in the kitchen and we would be eating. And then she would offer it to like neighborhood kids who we know hadn't eaten. I can remember one day sitting in like the little area on the steps and we kind of would eat snowballs and stuff. But she had made something and it was just really enough for us. But she made it like the 5 loaves of bread that Jesus stretched. Fishes and the 5 loaves of bread. She fed the whole neighborhood and people around the corner too. And no matter who you were her friend. So I remember that and I like that about my mother and I know that I take some things from her now that I'm getting older. I remind myself of things that she used to do and go, I'm turning into my mother. So good memories, good memories.
Well, you know, I think she was one of the ones who made some of the first either vegan or vegetarian meals. Because remember, we didn't always have meat.
Right.
But she would say beans can cover for your meat.
Right.
And when she did get some meat that everybody didn't want, my mother made liver taste good. And a lot of people don't like liver. But let me tell you, we ate some liver at least once a week.
Once a week.
We ate some liver or some pork and beans. At least once a week.
Rice and gravy.
Rice and gravy and broccoli. At least once a week we had some liver. So I'm going to turn it over to Alve because I'm sure Alve got something to say now.
I guess the one story I have about my mother was when she came to my school looking like Who Shot John. I didn't know she was coming. She came for my brothers. And then she popped up in my classroom. And I wasn't doing anything because I didn't really get in trouble in school. But she came to my classroom door and everybody said, who mother is that? And you always can tell who mother it is because they don't want to put their head down and get the right. I didn't know I was in trouble, but my teacher decided she would share that I wasn't doing homework. So I ended up in the bathroom with that little strip with rubber.
Oh!
At the school, Alve. At the school.
In the teacher's bathroom.
Wow.
And then she said, when you go back in there, you better not be crying. What?
Wow.
How you gonna beat somebody and they ain't gonna cry?
That was the one memorable. I didn't even think I was getting in trouble that day. I was doing good.
But that's the thing. And she let teachers beat you. You know,
I didn't get it. That was before.
I didn't get no beating from a teacher.
Let me tell y'all what she did to me when y'all talk about beatings. So I was in the 3rd grade. I never forget it. And my teacher name was Miss Carter. If Miss Carter out there, I hope you're watching this, Miss Carter. It's against the law to beat children. My mama told Miss Carter, said, if she do something in your class and show off, you can beat her. So Miss Carter, I don't even know what I did, but I remember Miss Carter took me outside the class with a yardstick and beat me on my legs because my mother gave her permission to beat me. Y'all,
that was old school.
All y'all teachers out there, I hope y'all ain't beating no children. Well, y'all probably ain't beating them now because they might beat you back.
Old school. But I don't have those type of memories with your mom. I have good memories with your mom. Very, very, very good.
Ours was good memories.
They were good memories. But when I say I didn't have to feel the wrath from Julia, I said Julia. Okay, we talking about your mom. She was to me, she was a protector for me. You know, she would give me little hints of, you know, knowledge of, because she was a church working around the altar. She did a lot, and we had a lot. And people don't know this, but me and your mom had a lot of one-on-one conversations, and she was very inspirational. You know, a lot of times, you wouldn't think that someone of an older person would take the time out to talk to you, but we had some conversations, and it was a delight to talk to Julia. You know, sometimes, and y'all don't know that we would sit in church. You know, in church when it's Bible teaching time. What is it? Get quiet.
Quiet. You better be quiet. And Laura better not hear you talking.
Oh, that's right, because you know
Laura better not. You know that's right. Even in between
her
sleep.
Coming.
Even in between her sleep, she better not hear you talking.
You know what's coming. And Julia didn't sit that far from me, and I would look, and we would look at each other, and she would try to give me things to stay awake, because, you know, children want to fall asleep in church.
Yeah, don't fall asleep.
It was sleep time.
Well, but she gave somebody something to stay awake. She sure didn't give us nothing. She just beat us.
We would look at each other, and we would just start smiling or do little things. And nobody knew, and I've never shared that. But something would come up, and we would, you know, say little things or look at each other, and we'd just bust out laughing. You know, but it kept me from getting them pinches from grandma that we ain't talked about yet.
Grandma.
But yeah, grandma. And I remember coming to the house, spending time with y'all. Was that Eagle Street? The little one-way street? What street was that?
I don't know. Dallas
Street. I remember coming and spending time with y'all on Dallas Street, sitting on the steps, having fun. You know, and back then it wasn't about. They made it that you didn't even realize. You knew you didn't have a lot, but it still made it happy. You might not have had a lot. I may not have had a lot, but you're gonna have a nice time regardless. Right. She's gonna make sure that you had a nice time. And I like that. A lot of times, you know, you take it for granted growing up, but these days and times you value those moments back then.
Yeah,
definitely. You know. You don't see that now, but yeah, Julia was my friend.
You don't cry now. This a heavy.
I'm not. I didn't bring no sister.
I get you straight early. We ain't doing no crying tonight.
I'm not. I'm good. I'm strong. I'm holding on.
But mommy was funny. Let me tell y'all one of Ave didn't get that many beatings. Now y'all know Ave didn't get that many beatings. No, my favorite Ave mommy story is Ave ate Esther's Katie beads.
Why you gotta talk about that?
I don't even remember that story. Let me just say that right now. I don't remember.
Ave, you remember that, don't you?
I remember the story, but we don't have to talk about that.
Let's talk about it.
That was the funniest story ever done. My other funny story is you would like.
Maria said
other
she
funny
never
story.
heard it.
I never heard the story. Let's talk about it.
Oh, they don't want to talk about it. We gonna talk
You
about
can
Lonzo's
talk about
story.
it.
We gonna talk about Lonzo's story since Lonzo not here.
Oh Lord.
So Lonzo's favorite story was when Mommy sent Lonzo to the store to get. No, I think I gave Lonzo the money to get barrettes for all that. And
$5.
Lonzo
Where's
went to
$5?
the store and spent the money on a video game.
That's not the favorite story, but go ahead and tell
No,
it.
that's not the
Lonzo did
favorite one.
what?
That's a good one.
Mm-mm.
And Lonzo went, and he took the money and he spent it on the video game and came back. And I had begged him when he left, please, Lonzo, please, don't spend the money. Just go get what we need and come straight back. Lonzo came back. He had 50 cents or something out of $5
and 50 cents and $1 Bally.
and $1 ballies out of a $5 bill. After he got begged, please, Lonzo, don't do this. Boy, if Mommy didn't tear Lonzo tail up that day, it was. And this is the thing: when Ave got a beating, the whole house was sad. Lonzo will tell y'all this if he was on here. When Lonzo got a beating, we always knew he had done something to deserve it. And so the whole house was cracking up because we had. I mean, when I tell you bad, but Mommy was good. My mother was a different type of mother, and I think all y'all can attest to this. We talk about beatings, but we didn't get beatings every day. We didn't get beatings all the time. They had to build up.
She get you for the old and the new.
And then she getting you for the old and the new. If you got better, you skated free. But if you didn't, the old and the new was coming, and you was gonna get a beating. But I think
unless your name got called across the pulpit.
Unless your name got called in church. When your name got called in church, that was it. It wasn't no old and new. If the old and new was coming, that was your old and new beating right there. Don't let the pastor say your name. Understand, if the pastor called your name doing that,
you gotta get it. You gotta get it.
You gotta get it. Because one thing she couldn't have is her kid's name being called in church over the pulpit. Now, y'all, this was old days. Church ain't like that no more, and we know it. But in the old days, you couldn't have your name called because then your mother was coming to get you. And my mother was one that when she said you was going to get a beating, and she said it in church, she would tell you she cannot lie. So she got to beat you. She got to beat you for that now. Because she said it at the church that she was going to beat you. So you got to get a beating. So thank God church not like that no more. Our kids probably would be in an utter state of shock.
Yeah.
I mean, pure shock if they got a beating every time somebody says something about them at church.
Or had to stand up.
Or had to stand up. Yeah, like little guy when he kept falling asleep in church. He had to stand up in the middle aisle.
Yeah. And ask a question. Don't forget to
ask a question because he couldn't stay awake. Maybe if you ask a question, you can stay awake in church. If y'all don't know, we are from a very deep church family, and we grew up. Everybody on this call grew up in church all of our lives, and so that's why we have a lot of church stories. But we're gonna move on because all of our matriarchs and mothers and grandmothers they took us to church and they were in church, and so we're gonna talk about Miriam's mother now. My grandmother Laura, Naomi. The quiet one. She was the quiet storm, y'all.
The quiet storm. And that's a
quiet storm.
That's a good name for her. The quiet storm.
She's the quiet storm. When you see her in church, she was meek and mild. At home, she was meek and mild till you did something. She was meek and mild and quiet. Yeah. Sister was quiet. You knew what time she was going to get up, and she was the alarm clock for everybody. Mm-hmm. And all of us lived in the house with her at one point. And you knew when 5 o'clock hit because you heard them slippers going every morning like clockwork. When she worked and when she didn't, she was still going across that floor. Yeah. What is my favorite Sis Samuel story? Wow. I think my favorite story was when she was sick. She was a trip. And so I would take her to dialysis and bring her back home. And one day I got her food out and we had it all together what she was going to eat. And she let me know she wanted that okra. And okra wasn't on the menu for the day, but I had to go to work, so I would get her in and I would lay down upstairs while she eat her okra, and then I would get her into her room, and we call it a day. And I must have laid down too long. I think I laid down too long because when I got up, she was eating okra. Now, okra was in the refrigerator, but the okra wasn't for her for that day. But Sister got herself up where she wasn't supposed to be and made it to that refrigerator and warmed up her okra. I think that is my favorite. And this was the thing. And then after she do something like that, she would say, well, I'm the mother, and nobody don't have to tell me what to do.
That's right.
So that is my favorite Laura Naomi story. Anybody can take it from there with a Laura Naomi story.
So I'll go next. So my grandmother, we lived with her after a situation happened, and we came and stayed. We being, it was 6 of us and my mother at the time.
Yeah, it had just gotten to be 6 of us because Guy was just born.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when Guy was born, my grandparent, which was Laura Naomi, and my mother's mother, which was Martha, said that they were going to split the kids up. And some of us was going to go to Laura's house, and some of us was going to go to Martha's house. So I was one of the ones, me, and I want to say Alonzo. I think it was just us two. Went to Martha's house. So I was at Martha's house, and everything was going pretty well. But on the weekdays, I had to come back to Laura's house. Was it the weekdays or the weekend?
Weekdays. For school.
Weekdays. For school, right? For school.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So everything was going okay. And something happened, and I didn't get my clothes together to sing on our junior choir at that time.
That was important for her.
That was important for Laura Naomi.
Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord.
So she went and told Martha, who I was staying with for the weekend, how I did not get my stuff together. So I said to myself, because I knew not to say it out loud. She get on my nerves. She always snitching, always telling something. But me and Martha had a real good thing going, so I thought I could explain it to her, and it wouldn't be any issues as to what Laura told her. Well, little did I know that wasn't going to work. So Martha got on me, and then I still had to wind up going back to Laura, but I knew from that point on that there was not a way to play 2 ends against the middle, and get one grandparent and the other grandparent be like, it's okay, baby, because sometimes that can happen. But I was quite mad with her because I was one that didn't get no beatings, and Martha decided she was going to crack me for what Laura said.
Oh, wow.
And I wanted to crack Laura, but again, I knew.
You knew that.
So I left Laura where she was. One of the other memories of Laura Naomi, and I think I have it in me because, like my sister said, she would be up at 5, sometimes 4 in the morning, moving around, and she would be moving around quiet, but not quiet enough for you not to know that she was moving around. But at her house, you always got breakfast. It was wonderful, and not no cereal. It wasn't no cereal breakfast. It was bacon or eggs and sausage and toast, and then you would come home and you would get fresh popcorn and dinner, and like you ready for that kind of stuff, especially if that wasn't something that you got every day. And it was not something that we had every day at our own home. My mother could cook, but she wasn't getting up fixing no breakfast every day.
No, you couldn't do cereal.
But she would get up, you had to do breakfast, and nobody could forget that everybody had to get straightened.
Yes.
Because at the time, we didn't have locks. So she would go, when it was all 6 of us, including Aunt Miriam, she would go down the line and wash all of our hair. And straighten all of our hair. Curl all of our hair. Because you did not go out the house and not be right. I think I take the early morning and getting my kids together. I didn't get the breakfast part from her. We had to stop at the store, me. But the early morning, getting up and getting their clothes ready for the week on the weekend, I think I got it from her because it's like I'm a morning person. So I automatically know I got to do this, I got to do that because my morning is so early. And so we retire early, as she would do too. when it wasn't a church night
Yeah.
or she wasn't getting her sleep during church service.
So a church service.
Hey.
That was her favorite. She would be listening.
But anyway, I do remember that. I miss her. Because she would quote a scripture right in the middle of being mad. She would quote a scripture and tell you how God, he nailed all of those excuses
To the world.
Yes. So that's my favorite memories of her.
I guess my favorite memory, I got a couple, but my first one, I never had too many run-ins with her. I never had too many run-ins.
She was older by the time you got around.
Yeah.
But I think the one run-in that we had was she used to put milk in the mayonnaise jar.
Mm-hmm.
And one day I woke up and she was like, "You gonna get this cereal?" It was, I don't know, it was a cereal day. And she gave me cereal out of the mayonnaise jar. And I said, "It tastes like mayonnaise. I'm not eating it." Little did I know I was going to eat it. She said, "I washed the jar out and it's milk. It ain't mayonnaise no more. You can eat it. And take this boiled egg with you and go to the front door so we can have prayer before you go to school."
Absolutely.
So I had mayonnaise cereal.
She told you there was no mayonnaise in that jar.
There was no mayonnaise.
She'll say I had mayonnaise cereal.
I had mayonnaise cereal. And it's okay. But then the other thing was I had the pleasure of being in her Sunday school class.
Mm.
And unlike all of the other Sunday school classes that I had been a part of, they didn't require much. But when you get to her class, you got to define the word of the title. And if you don't have good definitions, you're going to pay for that.
We'll pay for that.
Because you need to know what each word means.
Including the.
Including the. And don't give her no generic. She wanted straight from out of Webster.
That's right.
Yep.
And you and then you need to learn your golden text.
Mm-hmm.
The golden text was important.
That's right.
That's right.
So they were the two things I remember about her.
I hope you had some mayonnaise milk today all day.
I'm straight out the bottle.
Well, I guess I'll go next.
Yeah, ain't nobody else to go.
It could go back to Lydia, but no, my mom, Naomi Samuel, 5'1",
5'1",
and feisty. But she had a big heart. Even when you talk to her nieces and nephews, they always say that she was a short firecracker. And she would always say that she always, even when she got older, would say, "I wasn't that bad. I didn't beat them children like that." And everybody would say, "Well, we don't know what memory you have, but we remember." But my mom, she like everyone was saying, she was about education, making sure that you go to school. She worked all her life doing something. I can only tell you the story that I was told. Even as a young child, she took care of her nieces and nephews. She did hair, made sure the kids' hair was done. So it just, it just carried on to, when she got married. She worked at London Fog. Went from London Fog to Joseph Banks. That's when I was around. And one thing that she did, she made sure that she took me to the baby. Either she did or my father. But got to Martha Barnes' house, so she was my babysitter. Then she went to work. She came home, and I followed her, and I liked because she never complained. She worked. She came home. She cooked. She took care of her husband. That man was spoiled rotten, and Lydia,
Don't talk about my grandfather now.
I'm sorry.
Talk about Raph.
My father couldn't do couldn't eat nobody food but Lars,
Got that right.
his wife. So and then when my nieces and nephews came, I was happy because at the time my sister had married, my brother was not in the house, so I was by myself. So when y'all got there, I was like, yes, I got some company. But then I was like, wait a minute, they hit my space. I'm like, oh no. But having that family gathering, and we and in actuality we all around the same age, so that was even better. Getting up in the morning like Esther said, and for some reason, I guess because I was the daughter, I always had to go first.
No,
That's
sis. No, sis. That was
You know your head took longer.
all the time. You definitely didn't go first on hair day because on hair day I had to be up first every time.
No. I remember being first.
She wanted to be first, y'all. She wasn't. My grandmother used to say she had to take my hair, open it up first, and because she had to do the most. I had to get up first. I will never forget that because she had to open it up. Open it up means
open it up. Yeah.
Open it up and take that hot comb and she put that grease on your head and you feel your scalp sizzle as it begin to cook.
Well,
but be fair, it lasted for a minute. Even when it was like 80 degrees outside.
Yes.
Well, on y'all it did. On y'all it did. On me, it lasted maybe a day and then she looked like she wanted to cuss because she did all that time trying to straighten my hair. And I had that real African hair. And now they call it curly. She used to call it nappy.
Yes.
And so she would get me up first in the morning. And my hair would get washed and everything. And then she would take that comb and she would pull it through after she get me up first and she would blow on it. My hair was sizzling and she was pulling that comb through my hair. But Maria, you can go ahead with that story. I was always first.
I'll let you have that one, but I thought I was first.
I know you did. That's why I had to remind you. Because see, that was the reminder.
Okay. But yeah, she was a hair presser. You had to hold your ear.
You hold your ear.
And you hold this Vaseline while she parted your hair. And you hear nice and
yes.
And then you blow it, and she like, and anytime she make a mistake, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to do that. I'm so sorry. And I'm sitting there like, yeah, I think you meant it, but I wouldn't say it out loud. you go on your neck like this, trying to hold your neck. She say, hold it over. Hold it inside. Hold it inside. But like I said, at the end of the day, it was flat.
Yeah.
Flat. 90-degree weather would make you sweat it out. That's how hot it was. But
and she had the other church saints coming over getting theirs done.
Yes, she did.
They they would come over and she would do their hair.
Yeah.
I also remember my mom. I had the luxury also of being in her class, and I figured that because she's my mom and my teacher, that I could get a little leeway.
Did you?
Okay. She's a teacher. Maybe I can get the answers and maybe I can, get out of, doing some of the definition and stuff. She said, no, I'm not giving you no leeway. You got to do what everybody else did. And if you don't, you get the same consequences as everybody else. So I had to get that little raggedy dictionary.
Plus, for you, don't forget that part. You got beaten at home too.
Yeah, I got beaten at home too.
Yeah, don't forget that part.
Well, at least it was a fast beating though, cause she
had a windmill on. She had a doing a slow bop like my mother.
Yeah.
Yes, it was so fast.
If you wanted to run away, you could, because it was already over. It was done. But yeah, so I didn't get a leeway with that. Growing up. Also, I had to, I had the know-all that Laura didn't play regardless. She was a person who, on correction. And I didn't get a lot of beatings. I can't say I did because I'm like Esther.
Yeah.
I'm a look. I can't.
Wait a minute, I'm gonna need to stop you now. See, Esther didn't always do everything perfect. Mommy just liked her the most.
Oh,
Don't you start that on this slide. Don't you do that. Don't do that one, sir.
oh,
He loves all our children the same.
oh. Well, I didn't have the luxury of knowing that because I was the baby in my family, so they was all out of the house. So she didn't let me get away with stuff, but I did get chances. She gave me warnings. But yeah, that little hands start flapping, you know, I had it was over. I remember one time I did something and she was like, "Get upstairs. Get upstairs now." And I'm like, "Oh no." Mommy, y'all had the little straps on the street. Mommy had daddy belts in the closet.
Oh, geez.
I don't know if y'all remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Lined up in
On
the
the back of
closet.
the door, hanging
On
down.
the door. On the door. And I was like, I gotta hide these belts and do something. So she came upstairs. She was like, I can't find out a belt in there.
Good one, Miriam. Good one.
And I ain't saying a word. Looking and looking. I know I had these belts and so I'm like, but mommy, I ain't gonna do it again. I promise. I ain't gonna do it again. Nope, I'm not gonna do it. She said, you sit right here. You sit right here. I was like, but I ain't gonna do it. I'm gonna find something. I'm gonna find something. Find something. So y'all remember she used to have the little wrapping paper, right?
Uh-huh.
So she went and got the little roll of paper, the roll from the Christmas paper. And she started hitting it. And it broke. She said, no, that ain't hard enough. She's still trying to find a belt. She looking and looking. And she looking. And what she did was she found she did one of Caroline's things. She found the what's name from the kitchen and got me. But I hid them belts. Yes. I hid them belts. But I got tired of getting like I said, I didn't get a lot. But when I knew I was going in the kitchen in the bedroom and she was gonna go in that closet, yeah. Not today. Not today.
You are terrible.
She was hitting me with that wrapping paper roll, and I was like, "Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Yeah, okay." And she was like, "That don't hurt," and it cracked.
You trying to fake out?
I said, my acting career is over. I was like, "Yeah, it does hurt. I'm not gonna do it.
I gotta ask you one question. Where was my grandfather? Because
Wait a minute. I didn't get to that part.
Okay.
So she was like, "It ain't hurt." Pop. So I'm screaming at the top of my lungs. So he down here, y'all know where he was sitting, right?
At his window.
Ah, my daddy, I want my daddy. Hey, hi. He come running upstairs. Your grandmother, the turn, you know where the bed was down the hall, right? He comes to the door. What's going on? She turned around like, looked at him and said, if you don't leave now, you'll be next.
Oh man!
She did one of them turns. You know them turns that the mothers get when they get real mad. She hit and hit him. And he was like, what are you doing to this child? And she turned and said, you're next. If you gonna get out of here, you gonna be next. He went right on downstairs and got back in his chair. I was like, really, Dad? Like,
he said,
really?
you young.
Really? I'm on my own? Really?
Yeah, he left you, sis. He left you.
But, you know,
Lord.
she did it. But, you know, I look back on it and I can say, you know, it was needed. It was needed. You know, we can say now that a lot of kids today need those hard time, you know, corrections that we got.
And they weren't as hard. I will say they don't seem at this point. They don't seem to be as hard as they did then.
Yes.
You know.
And I can tell you. Let me tell you one more thing about when she got older, going to dialysis. So Lydia has the story about the okra. So Pat always had her meals lined it up after she come home from dialysis. I was hoping my sister would get on here because she must be sort of her meeting. And we had everything for breakfast. I
Mm-hmm.
think Pat had it lined up. What she had written out for breakfast, what she had for dinner. So, on dialysis, she was allowed to eat a special, maybe once a month, a special treat. So Pat would go and get her Chinese food. But the stipulation was you only can get a little bit from the Chinese food, and the rest of it goes in the refrigerator. So we put it on a bowl, put the rest of it in the back of the refrigerator, where we think, oh, she ain't gonna bend down and try to find it. You know, not grandma law. No, no, no. Mm-mm. So the next day, I went to work, and this is the day after dialysis. She in the house by herself. I come home from work. She in the bed. I go in the kitchen. I see a bowl. I see Chinese food wrapping. There's nothing in the Chinese box. So I say, Ma, who ate the Chinese food? You know, you know, I got hungry. Now, mind you,
Mm-hmm.
we had fixed her lunch that she had to heat up. All she had to do was heat it up. I didn't want that. I was hungry. And I wanted to. How did you find it? How did you find it?
What do you mean?
I
It was in the refrigerator.
Refrigerator, right?
you had to move stuff, y'all, out the way to find it. I said, and then you had to leave it on the table to be cleaned up. Well, who's the mother?
That's the question. That was the
She went
question.
to go to
Who's the mother?
That was always the question. Who's the mother?
And I told her, who's the daughter?
You disrespectful. You disrespectful. It's her who the daughter. She just told you who the mother.
She said, but I'm the mother. So what do you do with that, y'all? She
Nothing.
lied.
What you gonna do with it? She already ate the Chinese food. What you gonna
There
do?
you go. There you go.
You can't get it back.
Nope.
But this is the same person that said she couldn't bend. You know, we put it in the bottom of the refrigerator so she couldn't see it. But she bent to get that.
Yeah.
the Lord works in mysterious ways.
Hallelujah.
Mysterious ways.
God
Got
worked it
down
out.
there, got it, and got on back up.
God worked it out, didn't
Didn't he?
he? Yes, he did.
Y'all, we gonna go to the last
Oh, wow.
one of our great
Mm.
mothers here. I want to say the last and most outrageous one of the bunch, in my opinion. Most outrageous, and I don't know. She wasn't more outrageous than Julia. She was just around, I think, longer than everybody else, so she got to get more stories than everybody else. You know, I'm gonna go last to talk about her, but that was Martha Olivia
Mm.
Barnes,
Who want to go first?
aka Sam's
Charles.
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 in charge. Yes, ma'am.
So I'll talk about her first, because we had really good talk, and yeah, I liked her. I liked her a lot. My grandmother, I'll start with when I was coming out of school. I really did not care for school, high school at all. But she was not one that you could just say, I don't want to go no more. And it wasn't an issue. So when I got to the 11th grade, I had got me a job because I'm sick of this school stuff and I'm going to do what I want to do. So I got me the job, but I was still going to school. And in my mind, I was going to figure a way in this 11th grade, in this 12th grade, because I had gotten to the 12th grade year, for me not to go to school. I got the job and I scheduled to go take my GED. And I took the test, but I did not get the grades right away to tell me if I had passed or whatever. So I still had to go to school. And sometimes I would go to school, sometimes I would hide in the house. And one day I was hiding in the house and Jay Chapman came home, but that's another whole story. But anyway, I had got the job and everything. I was working, still going to school, and I got the news that I had passed my GED test. So I said yes. I went on and told people passed my GED test, and I'm done. I ain't doing that school thing no more. So my grandmother said, "Oh, that's great," and she gave me a couple of months before I came back in her office for something, and she said, "You got your GED, but you gotta go do something else because rich people don't go to school to get a raise or to get a job. They go to school to get knowledge." And I said, "Master, you can talk that knowledge all you want, but Esther is done." She let me go a couple of more months before she was back to, "You gotta go back to school." So I enrolled in school, and I said to myself, "This is gonna be the longest school because I ain't never gonna graduate from this. I'm just gonna take a class to keep her quiet." But when I got to school, she would ask me how I was, and I told her, surprisingly, I really like it. I don't see the same people all day. You go take a class, and you come out, and you done. You don't have to fool with them people again till next week. And I like it. So the next semester I enrolled, and the more classes I enrolled, and the more I accomplished or completed it, she would push me a little bit more. All right, you gotta take another one. You gotta take another one. You gotta take another one until I completed the first degree. So for her, learning was not, you wasn't going to school to get a better job, even though it would help, or to get more money. You was going to school because you needed to learn, regardless of where you were. And she instilled that in me, and I instill that in anybody that I come in contact with, my children, my co-workers, because in order to have better, you need to know something up here. So yes, it does help you to excel in life. But you need to know, you just need to know. And she instilled that, and not just in us, in her family. She instilled it in her church family and anybody that she came in contact with. I remember her saying she went back to school, and she was over 40 when she went back to school, and she completed master's degree when she was 60 and was on the dean's list. And like she was no dummy. She wasn't going. She had been retired. But she showed us that no matter what, you go back and you get the learning because it's important. So that is one of the things that I love about her. And I try to live up to what she expected, because she had high expectations, and she would tell you in a minute, nope, God got better for you. You got to keep pushing. You got to keep doing this. So you didn't get to sit down. Like some people can tell you that they depressed and they can't do anymore, and they kind of go into themselves. We didn't get to do that in our family. You had to get back up and start again. And I'm grateful for that, because when things knock me down, I don't, and that's not to knock anyone that deals with depression or anything like that. That's not why I'm saying it. But it is to say that there is something higher than you that will help you to keep pushing, because God expects and wants more for us. And He will help us when we are down and out or when things get low. So I am grateful to her, because I feel like that I learned that from her, and then through my mother. When I see my mother raising 6 kids, on her own, she never got knocked down and didn't get back up. She always got back up, and I feel like she got that from her parents.
Yeah. I think they taught us, even when you down and even when you depressed, because sometimes we get a little low too. Just keep going.
Yes.
Some people say depression paralyzes them, but they kind of taught us that you put on the face and you keep it moving. Not that that necessarily was the most healthy thing to do, but it kept us going so many days. It really did. I mean,
it keeps us going even now.
Even now, when, and I know there's sometimes, I mean, when things get so bad, like after she passed away, it was very hard for me. And all of you know that it was very hard for me because we were very close. And I was with her all the way to the end. And so for her to pass, it was so hard. And I will tell you, I was down, and it was depressing. I ain't even going to act like it was depressing, but just the way that she had it with us. when she was down. Because a lot of people sometimes didn't think she got down. But I know when she would go for surgery, she would say to me, I don't want to do this. And you would hear it in her voice. But then she would pop back up and say, but if Jesus go with me, I'll go anywhere. So she said she would go into surgery with that singing it in her head. And when she woke up, she would still be singing it. So it wasn't something that she wanted to do. It wasn't something that made her happy. But it taught us faith. It taught us faith. Even in the midst of bad situations, God gonna bring you through. Jesus go with me, I'll go. I went into surgery with the same song because of Sam's. Because of Sam's, I knew that I could sing that song and I'd be singing it when I woke up. And I was humming it right in my head. That's some of the things, when I say the most outspoken, she was the most outspoken. She ain't never mind telling you what you need to do.
Yep.
She was Charles in charge. And Charles told you how it needed to be done, when it needed to be done, where it needed to be done, and how fast you need to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
But with all she did, although y'all were younger at the end, and I know she got y'all a few times. But Sam's, let me tell you something. When we were younger, she was a whole different Sam's, and she would tell you before she told you anything. My name is Charles,
and I'm in
charge. And that's before she told you what she wants you to do. My name is Charles, and I'm in charge. That meant whatever she was about to say, you need to hop to it.
Yep.
But I'm not going to take over the whole thing. I'm gonna let Miriam and Arve have a chance to talk before we end. So, ladies, the floor.
I'll go. She was in charge of the children and the junior choir. So you knew. I think it was May, the beginning of May. You had rehearsal every night after service for Children's Day. Mm-hmm. She gave you your part. You better learn the part because you ain't getting up there and reading it off no paper. Mm-hmm. And you better not say it fast because it ain't no fire. You better slow down and pronunciate all your words. Pronounce all your words and say it with meaning. Don't get up there like no robot. Mm-hmm. And then Youth Day, I think it's like 3 months ahead of time. You got to get that march down. Because y'all going to be coming from 8 different ways. And you better not miss a step.
Yep. Yeah.
I think they have 2 main things I remember.
Yes. Marching was very important for Youth Day and Children's Day.
That's how fight for the rights. Your door.
She about to say it, Esther. She's saying it, Esther.
Come on, man.
Miriam singing that song that she used to sing.
Miriam, go get some of your memory now, sis. Before I start telling your stories, okay? Because you got some stories. Don't tell no stories about me.
Oh God.
No, but Mother Barnes was my second mother.
Mm-hmm. You said go to work.
She's been in my life all my life. She was my babysitter. I'm gonna tell a story about that. My mother my father would drop me off in the morning, and my mother would pick me up in the afternoon. And me and Mother Barnes had a relationship where if something happened, it was between us. You'll handle it. That's it. Well, I guess I got a little too old. What they say? Well, I thought I was getting too old, and as long you had to respect the house. You gotta give respect. So something happened, and I came in the house, and I just went to the table, didn't say good afternoon to nobody. I was mad. So I sat there, did what I needed to do, and Mother Barnes tried to speak. I ain't speak. I didn't speak to her. I didn't speak to Pastor. So my mother came and she said, how was your day? So my mom said, oh, she comes to my house and said she didn't speak. No hello, no nothing. So I'm getting my coat on ready to go. And my mother said, hey, come back here. I took my coat off. I got a beating right then and there. By the time they finished, I was saying good morning, good evening, good night. And from that day on, I don't care who did what to me in school, or if I was mad with Mother Barnes or whatever, I said good morning, good night, or whatever part of the day that was in that I was there. Because law did not play. And then the funny part, the bad part about it was, I'm getting beat in the living room, Mother Barnes and the pastor in the dining room, and I see the bishop smiling. And I tell this story, I would tell this story every year around my birthday, and it would just make everybody crack up. But Mother Barnes, we had a relationship that if everything was right, even if we did something, it was between we. She would sell it. Um, then I remember, uh, the youth days and the children's days, and she going to the class on Mondays for Bible teaching for teachers, the quizzes. Oh my goodness. I remember graduating from high school, and my father told me all my life that I didn't have to work. He would take care of me. I didn't have to work. If I wanted a car, anything I want, I had it. So I was like, yes, I ain't got to do nothing. So I lived like that. So I graduated, or before I graduated, my mom said, well, what you want to do? After you graduate, like Esther. I said, I don't know. My father said, I ain't got, he going to take care of me. Car, I ain't got to move. I ain't got to work. He got, he going to take care of his baby daughter. My mom said, I'm giving you two options. You either go to work or you go to school. I was so mad. I'm like, but my father said, I ain't got to go to work. He going to take care of me. I said, you got two options. You go to work or you go to school. I went to work. I've been working ever since. But the lesson was in that was, and she told me down the line later on, which I didn't get, is that you have to be able to take care and maintain yourself. One. Two, your father couldn't afford anyway to take care of you like he wanted to. Because he had to take care of his own home. But it taught me, responsibility. It taught me that, you have to be able to stand on your own. And like Esther said, I regret not, which is never too late, but school education is the key. But I did not sit at home. She made sure that I went to work. And she was hard on that about education, or working, because you should be able to take care of yourself. And I remember just even during her sickness, being there with her through her sickness. She made an impact on my life, all my life. I miss her and I love her for it, but it would be some times that I would get real nice and comfortable on a Friday and getting rested, and here she come calling. She wanted something, or the pastor wanted something, but and in the morning, because your uncle had her on a strict regimen, this, and this. And when he wasn't around, she had other plans in mind.
Always.
She know what she wanted.
Alone.
And she would tell me, get in that car and go get her what she wanted.
That's right.
She don't care who said what. She know what she wanted. So I was like, yes, ma'am. And I had to reap the consequences. But when Mother Barnes spoke,
you knew you had to move.
You had to move. But she's been played a big part in my upbringing, and mother indeed.
Yes.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things about her is when I would be at the house. It didn't matter what you had and you came in with it. Sam's go. Can I taste it? So you let her taste it. Now you didn't offer it to her. I want you to understand. She just asked because she tasted. Then she tasted and said, "How you eat that?" Ma'am, nobody offered you any of this food. This is my food. Because I already knew I liked it. I knew before I came in the house that I liked it. But you asked for it. Now you want to know how I can eat it. It wasn't for you, so that's why you don't like it. That was one of my favorites. My other favorite was when she used to sing the little song and Bug and Licia would dance.
Oh,
Ballerina dance, and they would dance around a circle, and they would do that, and then they get off doing something else, and they get all loud, and they tell a lie or something, and she said, "You gonna go to hell." Go to hell.
All liars. All
No,
liars.
all liars is going to hell. And the girls would look at her, and then they go and do whatever. But she would let them know. That's how it went.
Yeah.
You know, ladies, thank you. This has been a fantastic hour for me. I don't know about you. These three women, my mother, both of my grandmothers, they meant the world to me. I miss them dearly, even now. You know, this is another Mother's Day without mommy, and it is now what 14 years.
Yep.
14 years. Actually, it will be 15 this year. 15 years. 16 years. 16 years, because Bug came 2 years after her, so it'll be 16 years this year that she's been gone. And you know, it's always difficult on Mother's Day to be without her. Mommy was a special character. Special character. You didn't know what you was going to see her come up in there with. Might be purple and orange, but she was going to be in there. And she was always going to be in your corner. So Sammy was always in your corner. Whenever we had hardships, we always knew we could go to her. And she was absolutely one of the most supportive women that I've ever met. And she was the most supportive. Like, she would tell you, no, that ain't right. But that would be it. And then you had Sam's or Mother Barnes or Martha or whatever you want to call her. And Sam's going to tell you what's right, but she going to push you. She was the pusher. She was always going to push you. And I miss them dearly. And I thank you, ladies, for coming to help me enjoy this hour, reminiscing, telling stories, and just paying tribute to three great women who was in our lives, all three of us. I appreciate you. And I'll see you guys soon. And hopefully we'll get to do something different next year, but we'll do something together for Mother's Day. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I hope you enjoyed our stories, enjoyed our laughter, and check us out on next Saturday, where we'll have Miss Tawanda Cotton. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
yeah.